Good morning, good morning. What's up, everybody? Hope you're having a good morning. Let me get over to our live stream channel here. I don't want that on the chart yet. Let's start with this. There we go. What are we chatting about? This is new. Planning our trades and trading our plans. That's what we'll set our status to. I didn't know that was a thing. Pretty cool. All right. Good morning. What's up, folks? What's up, Sam? What's up, Sitaru? What's up, Navy Plum, Hawkseye, Drew, CD, Dawn, Carrylicious, Bolati? Good to see you all here. Hope everybody's having a good morning. Let me get my screen sharing started. There we go. Go live. All right, you guys should be able to see that now. Also, I'll talk about this in a second. We can get rid of this supply zone that we were dealing with for a minute there. Yeah, NVIDIA has definitely saved the markets last night. That's for sure. Things were looking pretty dour. But it's, not too surprised. I was expecting them to beat. I think most people were, even with the expectations being set as high as they were. I think it probably did not come as a major shock to anybody that NVIDIA beat and ran. But, in the world of, doing anything with that at least from an earnings report standpoint, I think, at least last I checked, it looked like, and we can take a quick look at it, what was the implied move? I think it was 12%, right, for NVIDIA? What am I looking for? Playbook. I think it was right at about 12% last time I looked at it. Maybe it was just over, right around 12%. So it'll be very interesting to see if the you like my SPY? That's the one that has infinity levels on the chart. So yeah, that is my SPY. That's what I go by when I create the daily SPY plans each day. So hopefully IV Crush does not dash the hopes and dreams of anybody who decided to trade NVIDIA directly. For those who, I agree. It is pretty sacred. If it wasn't for that, I don't know what I'd do with myself. I guess I would spend another month charting every single SPY level on every single time frame again. Going back to the NVIDIA thing and the earnings report last night, hopefully, and it's something that we talk about often when folks are interested in getting in or going after an earnings report, trying to catch a move from those. The best way to handle those is to really look for sympathy plays and tickers. So in NVIDIA's case, a great example, in fact, one of the trade plans we're going to recap this morning would be AMD. AMD is up 5+% with no IV Crush this morning, right? Whereas NVIDIA, even though it's up more, is going to have IV Crush this morning. And so it's got to hold up over that 12% because that premium is about to get just sucked out of those contracts as soon as the market opens this morning. But it is slightly over the expected move. So I think even if you did play NVIDIA directly, should come out a little bit on the green side, I would think, at open. But again, it's very hard to kind of predict exactly how much that IV Crush is going to hammer your contract. So I hope, again, for those that are in NVIDIA directly, that it is a light theta spanking and that you guys are able to come out with some green. But let's switch back over to ES, kind of talk about where the market's at right now. Where we're at right now is kind of testing the last supply zone overhead before we clear all that out and, in my opinion, possibly make another push for all-time highs. I mean, we're right at the top currently of where that would be. We actually, I think maybe technically, printed. We haven't really broken through it, but we did print a slightly higher new all-time high as far as ES is concerned. But again, I think we really need to clear over this last little bit of resistance, and then the market's going to be free to try to make another run from here. So this guy is no longer valid, and we held our demand zone nicely. That's where the bounce generated from, so not too surprised by that whatsoever. But you just never know. This looked quite bearish going into the close yesterday, and then as we kind of went into the close, as everybody was prepping for NVIDIA to potentially pump the markets, that's when we finally broke through and got things moving back to the upside. But again, I still would have kind of been on the fence about it until after 4:15. I would have wanted to see this 200 SMA bearish flag clear out and be out of the way before I got too excited about playing SPY or ES or anything for a lot more upside. But we've gotten through that. We've taken out a supply zone. We're now in the last supply zone before we potentially punch through to new all-time highs. So that's where we're sitting at from a market perspective. MU. I didn't take a look at that, but let's take a look at that. That's a good point. I mean, pretty much you could have played any semiconductor besides NVIDIA and done extremely well on a sympathy move. MU, nice bounce from, when did we do this trade plan? Last Thursday, so we did this trade plan a week ago. Played out Friday, hit PT2, but again, this is one of those things where sometimes your targets hit, but they're hitting when you can't really do much about it from an options contract standpoint, which is sometimes unfortunate and just a challenge of trading options contracts in general. But overall, rallied off that PT2 all the way to breaking now back over the call side of that previous plan. So this might not be a bad one to keep an eye on and see if it can't hold this 8403 to 8310 area. If it can, certainly see MU taking a shot up here at 8504 potentially. All right, so let's talk about our member selected tickers that we did over the weekend. Those were Palantir, AMD, and Microsoft. When you post SPY plan today, would you please include that chart with it? Which chart? CD? Oh, you want me to put the ES chart along with the SPY plan this morning? Or do you want me, I can just post it in here. Or I can DM it to you. Is that helpful? Okay, yeah, sure. Here, I'll post it in here, and if you need me to, I'll DM it to you. Just let me know. I've got no issue sharing that at all. In fact, here, if you want to see kind of some more of what I've got floating out there as far as other fib extensions and whatnot, that might give you a little bit more of a zoomed out perspective. Probably let you see a little bit more. Let me know if that's too zoomed out. But yeah, there it is. Have fun with it. All right, so let's get to our trade plan recaps. We did Palantir over for the member selected tickers over the weekend. This did give us a break to the downside, tested back into, again, this really kind of, in my opinion, this whole risk area essentially becomes selling pressure once we've broken down below our put entry, moved back up into selling pressure briefly, broke back down, back test, moved all the way to PT1 there between the after hours and pre-market session, even gave us a little bit more than that. But bounced back over, kind of held PT1, and has now kind of moved with the markets back to the upside, back into what we consider the wait and see range. Where are my indicators? Do I have them hidden? I don't think I do. There we go. So yeah, nice flip of things. Very quick, but enough to flip things there from a Neptune perspective. Came back, held that buying pressure, and has just pushed up from there. Nice long signal on the range filter there as well. Also, for those of you who are Neptune users, subscribers, you may have noticed I went ahead and posted the 3.0 update last night, which will now include this trend ribbon. I've got one more thing that I want to try to add to it, but it's taking longer than I had hoped to get it to work the way I want it to work, and that's kind of why I hadn't already released 3.0, but I decided it's probably better to just stop hemming and hawing about trying to have everything exactly right. Go ahead and get this trend ribbon into people's hands so you guys can start utilizing that to your advantage. I will put out a new set of instructions and tutorial video on how to combine that with everything you probably already know about Neptune. So anyway, 3.0 released last night. Play around with it. Feel free to DM me with any questions. But going back to Palantir, Again, it's really cleared over everything, holding this buying pressure. I say as long as it holds, probably around this 23.75, we could see this continue to push higher. But from here, I'd probably, there's potential for an entry at 24.40, with slightly earlier entry. It kind of is going to set you up for pretty much a 1-to-1 risk reward trade if you used 24.02 as your stop and 24.77 as a target. But really, I'd like to see that 24.77 clear out at least. I think that potentially opens up a bigger move up to 25.56, and then you could use 24.40 as your stop loss, playing for more upside. So that's probably how I would sort of re-engineer these levels that you see on the chart and that are posted in the watch list with the trade plans I posted Sunday. AMD, nice move here on AMD. Gap up along with NVIDIA, making that move overnight. So not surprised to see that, but check this out, right? This was our member selected tickers. So this was posted, or did we redo it? Why does this look like I didn't post this until Tuesday? I know this was on the member selected tickers, and I think that this is the same plan, right? Hang on, let me just check. Did we make some changes on Tuesday to it or something? We might have. Let's see, in watch lists, AMD, let's see if that gets me there. So what was our AMD trade plan? Confirmed break of 181, well, to the downside, confirmed break of, this is what I want to see, 170.69, PT3, 162.07. Yeah, I don't know why my long shorts shifted over like that. It should go back to here. That's kind of how I keep my, oh, that's why. Because we had a holiday, and there was no Monday trading day. Duh. Sorry about that. I was like, why does this look like I dropped this plan on, like it looked like a Tuesday morning live stream plan, but it's because we didn't have a Monday this week as far as trading goes. So that explains that. Anyway, fantastic move, right? First trading day of the week after we publish this plan, goes down and hits all of our targets. And what else, hopefully, do you guys notice about this? We pretty much caught the max profit level on those puts before things reversed and pushed back up. So it caught that key support beautifully with that PT3. We're now pushing back up with a little gap up. Still kind of struggling though with this sell pressure range. Back over 174.29. We get a nice confirmed break of that. We could see AMD try to continue to push up from here. Also looks, yeah, pretty good from, as long as it holds this buying pressure on Neptune. And I like to look at the 5 and the 15. Yeah, also that buying pressure is right there with the 333 SMA on the 15 chart. So yeah, I really like where this is holding right now to potentially try to make a push today with AMD. So keep your eye on that one. Microsoft, and this is a really great example of actually something that you asked about on Tuesday, CD, when we talked about gaps a little bit. What was one of the things that I said that gaps can be very useful for, besides obviously a trade setup and playing, either potential bounces or rejections off the gap entry level, and then of course playing for the gap to fill and then expecting a reversal once the gap fills. But the other thing that I said about gap levels that is extremely important, and I think I hope you guys caught on to or paid attention to, is that gap levels tend to do one of two things. Not always, anecdotally I'd say more often than not, you see them do this, and that is they either establish new support and resistance levels, or the gap levels wind up being at existing support and resistance levels, right? And again, from my personal perspective, my approach to this, I like to factor in extended hours, so that's how I would determine where my gap levels are. Well, look at where the top of this gap is, right at our call entry, right? We opened up here, came down, bounced off of it, touched right up there. But ultimately, if we're calling these gap levels, this gap level would be right there at 407.09, and this would be very close. I mean, I would personally put it at the top of this candle, but also probably not enough of a difference between where this gap is and where I already have an existing level that I like, that I would actually change that. I would probably just use this existing level and say, okay, that's technically a gap fill. So anyway, proof that I'm not totally full of it when I say some of these things. Here's, what I just talked about Tuesday playing out here pre-market this morning. In Microsoft, after coming down, this was again a member selected ticker, gave us PT1, gave you a re-entry opportunity off the stop loss average down, took you back down below PT1 and then some. Didn't quite get to PT2, not sure what it caught there, but that's true. That's very true, CD. I can't be right in full of it. And hopefully I'm, how do I say this? Hopefully I am as right as often as I am full of it, so it at least balances out. But nice hold here, ultimately around PT1, but got targets for the put plan, so hopefully you guys took profits then. And of course, Microsoft running now, bouncing off of our call entry level and trying to hold PT1, tested it as resistance already this morning, trying to hold it as support right here. If that support holds, or if Microsoft holds around this 409.81 level, I don't hate the idea of trying to, why do my indicators keep disappearing? They're not off. I don't get it. Something not calculating? Oh, there we go. That was weird. Okay, so yeah, looks very good. And again, I like this in buying pressure right here. That's what I wanted to check real quick. So 408.74, I would keep a tight stop on it if you played anything too close to open. We've already tested that 408.74 as resistance and have flipped it to support. I wouldn't want that to be resistance again. Otherwise, I think we potentially look to fill this gap to the downside from there. So yeah, if Microsoft holds 409.81, I kind of do see sort of a setup with this being your risk range and trying to play for these two targets overhead still. So this chart, as well as the levels, are all written out in the watch list. If you go search for member selected tickers in the options watch list channel, you'll see them. So that was our Microsoft trade plan. So those are the three member selected tickers. SMCI we did on Tuesday's live stream. We called for puts on a break below 746.11 with the first target at 691.61. Bang, first target, bounce from there. Again, we're not always going to get more than the first target, so make sure that you are taking your profits when we hit those and make sure that you're moving your stops up to a point where you should be stopping out for green, or worst case at break even. Do not let green trades go red, especially after you've hit a price target, because these targets are in place from a put trade plan perspective because they're key supports, and if they're key supports, they can reverse the price and turn that green trade into a red trade real quick. So again, make sure that you are being mindful about taking profits at those profit-taking opportunities where we're hitting those targets and moving your stops up, and continue to chase the plan as the plan works out by moving your stops down, in this particular case along the way, or if we were moving to the upside as we move forward. So now we're kind of bouncing around, ping-ponging a little bit, pinballing a little bit between it looks like the stop loss average down and potential call entry, so keep an eye on this one. Could see the upside try to play out. I'm a little bit apprehensive about where these pre-market highs are hitting, so if you do try to go after this, keep it very small. Keep your eye on a possible rejection around these pre-market highs. Again, SMCI, not a lot of price action, price history for us to work with to develop these plans, so not going to be as laser accurate as I try to be with everything else, just because I kind of need more data, essentially, right? And then the last one we talked about was Lyft. We did something very quick, tried to throw together a fast upside trade plan. We haven't gotten anywhere near that. Apparently we should have put together a downside trade plan because it's moved down quite a bit since we did that trade plan here on Tuesday morning. So keep your eye on Lyft, especially if it continues to hold this 1462 level. That's a pretty key weekly support. I wouldn't hate the idea of perhaps starting to build a little bit of a share position off that 1462 level. But overall, I'm not really in a good spot right now to jump into Lyft and dig too much deeper into it. But we did try to at least put together something with, I think, we were kind of at the 11th hour of having to wrap up the live stream when I tried to put this together. So we only planned one side and we did it very quickly and did not play out whatsoever. So no harm, no foul there, really. All right, so let me, do I want to save it? No, I don't want to save that. So let's get to some new tickers. Let's do some trade plans here this morning with you guys. We've got some requests I thought I saw. Well, we just talked about SMCI Carrylicious. If you want me to dig into that any further, let me know. I thought I saw like somebody asking for, there we go, Starbucks or Intel, Lunar, Lunr. I've never heard of Lunar, so let's take a look at that too. All right, Chris, do you have a favorite between Starbucks or Intel? Between those two? One that you're really feeling a little bit more than the other? Uh-oh, Chris might be getting harassed by somebody at his work or something. Somebody needs a password reset. All right, well, let's take a look at Lyft and Starbucks, and I'll see which one looks more interesting, and then we'll pick that one. How about that? Starbucks, kind of interesting, struggling with this 95.52 level a little bit. Has played out through these levels pretty nicely, though. I don't know what our trade plan looks like. That was part of a downside trade plan for Starbucks at some point. Although I don't have my, for whatever reason, don't see my long short drawings on here, so not really sure when this trade plan was from, but those look like price target levels to me. And then let's take a quick look at Intel. Probably going to try to run with the rest of the semiconductor sector. Well, Intel could get interesting. And I like it as a decent sympathy play for the NVIDIA move. So yeah, we'll do Intel of the two that Chris asked about. If it is not the one that he really wanted to see, I apologize, Chris. And then what was the other one? Lunar. Intuitive Machines. Oh, these are the folks that just that are involved in this like moon landing mission right now, right? I think they built the moon lander. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay, that's an interesting one. We'll take a look at it. All right, so let's get to our Intel trade plan. Apparently, oddly, I don't have any levels on Intel. I swear I've done Intel trade plans before. Maybe on a different layout for some reason. Oh well, no big deal. We'll figure it out. Yeah, right? What are they thinking, bro? Tell them to tighten up. What's more important, your job or this live stream? All right, let's see what we're looking at here on Intel. If you said your job, I wouldn't blame you. It's interesting. It's almost like we're sitting right around a weekly support here pre-market. The thing that I'm not really seeing that I'd like to see is any real resistance testing of this level. Maybe we'll get some back there. So let's do this. Let's kind of put it where I think it's at. I really, although it could be a little bit, there's a lot of focus though of support around this level that we're at right now, pre-market. Although this is not necessarily the pre-market level because the weekly chart does not, well we are, it shows me pre right there, but we're not going to see it on the candlestick I don't think because it's a weekly chart. Weekly doesn't include extended hours. So it'll be interesting to see if this is a real level. I'm not saying it is, but there's a lot of support happening pretty close to it. Might even be a little bit higher actually, now that I'm looking at it. With a line on the chart. It might be like right about there. Let's see. Not totally sold on this level yet. This is what I want to look at. Yeah, I think there's something there. Okay. Just wanted to check that real quick. I think that'll probably be the bottom, or not the bottom of our range, but potential put entry there. We'll see. All right, so let's clearly finding lots of support down here. Seeing some support there. Yeah, a little bit of resistance there. Some more resistance. Okay, that's pretty good. That's probably going to be the bottom of the range that we'll chart here this morning. Top of the range we're going to chart probably going to be around where this is topping out. But again, let's make sure we're talking about actual levels and not just saying, oh, there's resistance there, let's use that. Yeah, there we go. That's what I wanted to see. Okay. Here's a gap level, right? Like I said, these tend to form at existing support and resistance levels or establish new ones. This does look like a pretty decent weekly level right there, so there's another example. Use those gaps to your advantage. They can be helpful in finding good support and resistance levels. All right. There's something right in here. It's maybe right about there. Yep. Yeah, right there. I like that. Also, interesting double bottom here. There's our double top in the past. I like that now. That looks pretty good. Is there something that we keep rejecting here from a weekly standpoint? I think the answer is yes, there is. This is also an interesting little price level right here. And yeah, there. And yeah, yep, probably right about there. All right, those are our upside levels. Let's see what we've got to the downside that we can figure out. Lots of resistance around this spot. And seeing a break over and back test of support. I like that. I like that level. And this level. And that level. Any others that I maybe missed is the only question. This is an interesting spot right here. I would like to see if we do get any nice support or resistance tests off that I wasn't looking at when I set it. We do. Good enough. I like it. All right. Last big area that looks like it might be just a little bit too broad of a range for there to not be at least a weekly level in there somewhere. Right in this mix, there is a weekly level. It might be sitting right about here. I think it's pretty good. Okay. So let's see. Let's check out some daily levels here. I know Intel trades pretty well during extended hours, so I'm going to go ahead and use the 24-hour chart without double checking that too much. I think we definitely have a daily level in here. Whoops. And let's start to narrow our focus here a little bit. I want to get through this trade plan here in the next few minutes so we can get one more in before we call it a day for the live stream. Something's right around this spot. Is it a daily level is my question. Yeah, it is. That's good enough. There's one there. Here. Whoops. Didn't mean to grab that line. Let's get back to current. Interesting few dips and support found right around this level. Is it a little bit lower? That's interesting. That little dip and bounce off this 41.25. Yeah, that's good. Got one there. All right. Do I think we'll need a whole lot more higher time frame levels? That's a good one. Yeah, I do want to see if I can find anything right in this little neck of the woods. Yeah, there's something there. And there. Let's check this 39.05 level real quick. Seeing lots of resistance. What I have not yet seen. There we go. Support. Alright. We also seem to have a bit of a trend line building up here on the daily. We'll want to pay attention to that. And let's start to zoom in on this a little bit. Alright, let's dig into the hourly chart. I'll fill in the blanks from here. I know I don't have all my levels mapped out yet, but in the interest of time, got to keep this rig rolling. Now that is an interesting little bounce and rejection near that spot. Just want to see if we get any more good tests of this level. Let's see. Yeah, there's something there. It's might even be a 4-hour level. We didn't look at the 4-hour chart, but there's something. Whoops, there's something there. So, whoops, gosh dang it. All right. I think that's going to wind up being our entry level, to be perfectly honest. I think that's where things really open up and we start punching up towards some of these levels up through this range right in here. So I like that as a call entry. Big question is, around this resistance, do we have an actual level? If we do, I would definitely want it to be our stop loss. We do, I think. Let's just check it a little bit more. Come on, price action, where are you? There it is. Yeah, it's right around this level. Also, just another example, right? That level's might be a little bit higher actually, right there where we had this little gap, right? Another example of that, using those gap levels. And that's the same level right here with that clean rejection that we're struggling with here pre-market. That was part of a gap at one point, still being used to this day. All right, so I like that as a stop loss. Let's make sure we don't have anything we need to be concerned about before we get to this daily level. I really don't think that we do, to be perfectly honest. I mean, with this big sell-off, which was their earnings report. You can't see that right now, but yeah, that was their earnings report. This wick is just a little bit lower. I don't hate shooting for it if it's an actual level, and it does look like it is actually. Yeah, there's something there. So let's use it. Let's not be too greedy. 46.73 is pretty good for a first price target, I'd say. Second target, let's get back to current. Now we start punching up. And I would definitely use this as our next target, 47.66. And how about another gap level to use? Gap there, support test there. Pretty much, I say, closes that fair value gap at that point, 48.99. I like that as our third price target. All right. To the downside, let's see where that starts to get interesting. There's lots of chop down in this range, which I don't love, but sometimes you just got to deal with that. And generally speaking, Intel doesn't have a ton of IV baked into the contract, so buying time in case you do wind up in a choppy area shouldn't be super expensive. So, sorry, let me hide these again because I need to see just price action for a second. Because what I'm thinking, what am I thinking as far as this downside goes? This is a little bit tough to the downside, actually. Alright, I see what I want to do. Although, man, that's That's a ways, and we have this downside gap to fill. Alright, I know what we're going to do. We're going to work it like this. I think this is not a huge factor. I think what we're looking for, sharing a stop loss with that upside trade plan. If we close the gap and continue down, I do think we come down to this 43.15 level. For a first test below that, we're going to again have to fill in the blanks a little bit. I like this, 42.44 is the next test, next support. Interesting big wick off this level right here. Obviously, not going to use just a single candle to determine support and resistance, but let's see if we can't verify that there's something there. Doesn't always happen, but it does look like there is something there. Let's just check back a little bit further, and I think we'll be ready to go. And then this lunar trade plan I'm going to have to do like at hyperspeed, just like the lunar rocket. All right. Are you a real level? The answer, I think I've already seen enough, but I was really hoping to see a nice test from below and rejection off this level. We may not get that. I'm not going to go back in time for forever. Let's see. Come on. Yeah, it just really wants to hold above there. Okay, well, is what it is. I did already see enough. I was just looking for some additional confirmation, so I'm not going to belabor it at this point. All right, so these are our plans for Intel. Good sympathy play idea on following NVIDIA from a semiconductor standpoint. Chris always putting some good thought into what tickers he wants me to take a look at. DraftKings was a GOAT pick. That was a good one, by the way. Props to Chris. All right. Intel trade plans. So, what are we looking for here on Intel? Oh yeah, that American superconductors one. Yeah, that was like what, 30+% on shares. That was huge. And that was the one that we said. That was the one that we're like, hey, buy this. If it's holding this level, buy it at the open, and it just straight ran from there. Yeah, BTFD, bro. That's what Warren Buffett says. All right, so what are we looking for here on Intel? We're looking for a break over 45.67. That should give us targets at 46.73, 47.66, and 48.99 with a stop loss average down at 44.78. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 44.08. That should give us targets at 43.15, 42.44, and 41.61 with a stop loss average down, same as the upside trade plan there at 44.78. Yeah, but I'd like to imagine he would. Like, it just gives me a little chuckle on the inside imagining Warren Buffett saying, buy the fucking dip. All right, so that was our Intel trade plans. Go forth, conquer the world with that one. Let's see what we can do with this Lunar one in short time. How long has Lunar been trading? Yeah, I was going to say it's probably fairly young. Not a ton of price data. That's okay. Not the end of the world. So let's do this. We're going to have to go back through this little range right here, and I'm just going to focus on the hourly chart. I do want to know, though, where... Yeah, this looks like an important level, but let's see if we can't confirm that. Yeah, that's a good one. This is just going to be all straight up hourly levels. You know what? I'll leave them all blue for now. That'll remind me if I ever circle back to this that I did not go through the time frames and color code things correctly, which is Okay. All right, so let's go through some of this. Lots of support. Yep, there's something there. Is that a little rejection there? Let's go forward. Let's see if we can find some confirmation there at that level. Interesting little gap right here. I'd want to pay attention to that. That's an interesting level. Let's see if we can't verify it a little bit more. Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. I like that level. And that. Be interested to see if that's anything. Well, yeah, it is. Okay, let's check what else we need for this. Maybe not much. Might be a little, yeah, I think it's more like that spot right there, actually. All right, so I think for intuitive machines, probably looking for a break below this 809 level. First target down here at 716. Next target at 663. I know this seems like small potatoes, but on a ticker trading sub $10, those are actually pretty big moves. And then third price target down here. Stop loss average down. Trying to hold this morning. Upside trade plan. That's where I think things get a little murky. Kind of thinking this 938 level, but let's double check that. We're going to probably need to also hunt for one more upside target. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking 938 to 1052. There's just a few times where we get these weird rejections, but for the most part, a lot of those recent moves through there have played up to that 1052 level, which means that this would wind up being our second price target. And just a little bit lower. Yeah, right there. I think that's our third price target. Yeah. All right. Cool. We were able to knock that one out pretty quick, actually. So this is what I'm looking for here. Sorry, 938. Looking for a break of that. Shit. Get it together, JT. What is happening? There we go. I might play this a little bit lower, actually. Just looking at where we're seeing some flips of support and resistance here. I'd probably play that just that little tiny bit lower, 1039. I think that's prudent. And then, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 1117, 1192. You know, if you get a free runner, you want to shoot for something up in this range, go for it. Could definitely continue up. And yeah, this one does have a semi-catalyst. I don't really know what the, I guess if it lands successfully, I guess this one could, if the lander is able to hit the moon without exploding, I guess that would be bullish for this one. But potential catalyst on this one coming up with the moon mission. So keep an eye on it, but be very careful because that news could hit, good or bad, and totally change the direction of this thing. Yeah, they probably are lunar to the moon. I mean, they'd be right to some extent, depending on how you look at it. All right, so what are we looking for here on intuitive machines? We're looking for a break over 938. That should give us a target up there at 1039. Make sure you're taking profits on your approach to that level. Don't get too greedy. It doesn't need to hit to the penny. We are seeing some rejections just below that, but that seems to be the more key level from what I'm seeing here on the chart. Over 1039, we should also have targets at 1117 and 1192 with a stop loss average down at 878. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 809. That should give us targets at 716, 663, and 591 with a shared stop loss average down with the upside trade plan there at 878. And that takes us right at the 15 minutes from market open mark. So I want to take this opportunity to thank you guys so much for joining me for these live streams. I really do enjoy getting to do these with you all. I hope they're helpful. I hope you guys are learning a lot and profiting a lot from these trade plans that we're putting together. There are tons of opportunities in them. So please make sure that you're putting these levels on your own charts, set alerts, do whatever you need to do to track these on your own. I do not always alert trade plan entries because I've told you exactly what to do well in advance. So keep your eye on these. Make sure you're ready to execute when the time comes. With that, as we always say here on these live streams, plan your trades and trade your plans. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Go out there and get some green. I will see you in the chats, and I will see you back here next Tuesday morning at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Have a great day.